So there are 50,000 applications.
That's right.
That we know when something goes wrong.
That's right.
All the time.
All the time. 24/7.
24 by 7.
365.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yazdani. I'm a partner at Cota Capital. Today I'm with Brian Rue, and we're starting off our series on founders in 15s. And again, I'm looking forward to spending some time with you, Brian, getting to know you a little bit better. Let's start off by your background.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. Glad to be here. I grew up in a small town near Seattle, Washington. It's called Silverdale. I learned to code as a kid. My early days, I think what got me into the whole technology world was my dad was a chemist, and my bedtime stories were learning about the physical world through the lens of chemistry. So when I discovered computers and computer games, I was quickly drawn not to just playing them, but to how to make them. And that got me into coding as a kid. So from 6, it was BASIC, and then it was 13, it was the web, and into college, it was using the PHP to build things.
All right. Now, you and I met a few years ago, and when you first started working on your current company. Walk us through kind of what inspired you. I mean, what was the moment that you decided, I'm going to do this? I'm going to go out there, call yourself an entrepreneur, and start your efforts. I mean, what inspired you? What was the moment that was clear that this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I think it came from, so when I left college to work on my first company, I was drawn into the Facebook apps world. So Facebook launched the platform in 2008, and I was one of the groups at Stanford that built viral apps that did simple things, but were very quickly used by millions of people. And in that environment, it was the first time that I was in charge of the code. And there was no one telling me that I couldn't just deploy it to production. So I did. And it was really fun. And what it meant was that I got to ship code 10 times a day, 10 times an hour. I learned so fast what actually works in the code, how do I fix problems in the code, and what works for the user. What do users like, what do they not like, what do they click on, what do they share. And so that experience, I think that was seeing how effective I could be and how much fun it could be to use code to build things. In that environment was really just that magical moment that stuck with me. So 4 years later, I was ready to start my next company. And I remembered that feeling of just the freedom of being able to have an idea and make it come to life. And the mission with Rollbar has been to give that feeling, that ability to every developer, not just in Facebook games, but in everything that matters to the world. And in the 10 years since then, the software has become not just a thing we look at on our computers, but it's everywhere in our lives. Your bank is no longer a branch, your bank is an app on your phone. And that environment means that now is the time is never been more exciting to be a developer, and it's never been a more exciting time for a company like Rollbar that serves developers.
Let's talk a little bit about Rollbar. I want to spend more time, of course, about your motivation as an entrepreneur, but let's talk about Rollbar. I mean, what excited me about your efforts were the genuine focus around the developers and developers community. That was from day one, that who you served and who you cared about. Walk us through what does Rollbar do? People underestimate the scale of Rollbar. Tell us about the scale of Rollbar. Who do we serve? What is the roadmap of the our efforts? Where are we taking these efforts? Just walk us through it.
Yeah, so today we serve about 36,000 developers. It's about 50,000 applications. These are applications from simple things to complex things that underpin the way phone calls are made and the way that bank transactions happen and mortgages are run. So we have customers and applications all throughout our entire society. To serve our customers, we give them, we collect data about when things go wrong in their applications.
Let me make sure I understand. So there are 50,000 applications.
That's right.
That we know when something goes wrong.
That's right.
All the time.
All the time. 24/7.
24 by 7.
365.
Okay. Just give us a sense of that scale. I mean, well, how much data are you looking at across 50,000 applications?
It looks like about 3 billion errors per month.
Wow. Okay.
So 3 billion times the things go wrong, and we distill that down into call it millions of signals. So across those 50,000 applications, there's maybe 100 or 1,000 signals per month that we're teasing out of that huge haystack of 3 billion errors per month. So that's the scale of the data that we receive. For each of those things, it's not just a light that's going on. It's a whole folder of information about that issue. So it's what customer did it affect? What machine was it on? What kind of device was it? Where in the world did it happen? What was the state of the program at the time that it ran? What this does is it enables both developers to see what do they need to do to understand the issue to resolve it and fix it. And it also gives the businesses the ability to see what's the impact of that issue. Do these things matter or do they not? Which ones matter? Let's fix the ones that matter the most first.
Paint this picture for me. What does Rollbar look like 3 years out, 4 years out? Who are we serving? What is this platform looks like? How is it going to evolve? How is the organization going to evolve?
Part of me, I mentioned earlier about being more comfortable taking, being bold and stepping into higher standards and bigger goals. So part of that is our vision, which is about stepping into the truth of what's the scary thing that we actually think is going to happen, and how big is that? And wow, that's big and scary. Let's see if we can do that. But as a company, it means that our vision isn't to become part of some small acquisition. It's not to make a quick buck and kind of get in, get out. Our goal is to build a great company, and we believe the opportunity for Rollbar to make the world better through developers is enormous, and that there will be multiple great public companies that serve this market, and my goal is to be one of them. So that's what we're working towards over the next 3 years.
Where are we going to take this from here? What's the vision taking it forward?
Yeah, so we started with what we think was one of the most important problems, which is that things are hard to fix. It's hard to know it's broken, hard to fix it. And we solved that pretty well. The platform we have today enables our customers to do that. But fixing is just the end, right? Before you fix, you need to take the code and ship it. Before you ship the code, you need to build it. And before you build it, you need to figure out what to build. That whole process is a lot. And today, for most developers, that process is very slow and very painful. The number of steps it takes to go from having an idea to getting that in the hands of a user, for most developers, is months, and it's nights and weekends, and it's painful interruptions and long meetings and all kinds of terrible things that developers don't want to do. So I think back to what was it like when it was just me shipping Facebook apps from the metaphorical garage. I think it was actually a cafe. The ideal experience as a developer is that development and production are the same. When I'm writing code locally on my laptop, that's the same kind of thing as when I'm shipping code to millions of users. There's no distinction there. And I think that is where the world is going to go. And it's not going to go there because developers want to. At the end of the day, what matters is what consumers need. And the thing that has changed in the last couple of years is that consumers now are demanding, now that everything is software, the consumers are the ones that are driving the increase in pace of innovation. So that's where we're going to be.
Yeah, it's interesting because you have a completely different metaphor. You have a very different lens. The waterfall model of deploying software, all the barriers that we put in to manage risk is not working actually. What matters is your new lens that we should assume all those risks exist and how quickly can we remove it.
That's right.
So that's a very different set of lens, and we've talked about it. We do need to educate and talk about this new mindset around how can we look at the entire software development cycle differently. What have you think you've given up? Have you feel you've gained or you've given up things throughout this journey?
I have definitely given up a lot of free time. Especially this past year, I would say all of my energy has gone into this company, which has been good and very rewarding. But that's definitely a thing that I've given up. I think the other factor is just as a founder, the financial outcome is one that's very delayed. right? I've got lots of friends who are much more cash rich, right? Well deserved, but a very different path. And I think it's a conscious choice to go for the long term as a founder.
Oh, it's a conscious choice to build a platform that serve 50,000 applications that our communities use to live their lives every day. Those 50,000 applications, as you said, they are in the banking sector, they're in healthcare, they are in government, and the list goes on. I mean, the impact of your work is far beyond you. Now let's focus on a different side of the coin. I mean, you're talking about the technology, what the value you create. But I've been with you, I have observed you. What has been always unique about you is I would say the grace you've handled, kind of the growth, the grace you've handled your people, your team. Talk a bit about the culture. I mean, what have you learned throughout this journey? I mean, this is not a one-man or one-person show. What have you learned? What have you learned as a founder that you can share with the other founders, other entrepreneurs?
One of the things that I think that you first did when we first met was encourage me to write down our values, to kind of codify who we are and what does it mean to be Rollbar. How is Rollbar as a culture and as a mindset different than other companies? And the words that we came up with to describe what matters to us are honesty, transparency, pragmatism, and dependability. Those values are really hard, and the more that I've grown with this company, the more I've discovered how just challenging those values can be to really live them out through and through. It starts with honesty, which I think is about who are you and what is the truth what is the true situation that you're in. It's so easy to live in the way that you want things to be, and you can go that way a long time until the delta between how you wish it is and how it actually is just too big, and everything comes crashing down. So the more that we can be honest about what's the situation that we're in and what are the problems that we have, the more that we can make true progress. And it's been interesting to think about how those same values come up in our products. Our product is about helping developers to see what's actually broken. You can pretend that things are fine, and that was okay until the delta between how you wish it is and how it actually is too big, and it all comes crashing down. So those values it definitely helped us to run the company and to grow to where it is today.
But as entrepreneurship is not for everyone, for sure. And there is this, we live in Silicon Valley, and we are fortunate to see amazing entrepreneurs. And I have to tell you, it's been a great pleasure just watching what you have built. You're a builder. Your leadership, the capacity for you to learn and change as a person, and of course your vision, ultimately as a developer. I mean, you have a new way of thinking about what the developers need to do and what's the new methodology of development looks like in the future that's so different. You need to talk more about it.
I'm excited to be places like this to have that mouthpiece.
It's truly been my pleasure, to be part of your journey, to watch you grow as a person, to watch you develop and grow your company, and ultimately what you have done for the developers community. The service you bring, the capabilities Rollbar brings to the community is important, is really, really important. I mean, I've talked to many of my own companies and many of the developers that I know that use your technology and your product, and they truly value what you bring to them. Well, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Bobby.
And I wish you the best.
Thank you for having me.